you, Melinda and I wrote that song together, and we're kind of crazy about it. So I'm going to be doing a sermon and song, which means I'm going to be running back and forth between the podium and the piano, just in case you think I'm lost up here. So I'd like to thank Melinda for having me, and Reverend Pat and Glenn for having me, and all of you for being so open to probably a little different kind of musical message. So the dictionary defines grace as the condition of being influenced and favored by God. I had to go down about 15 definitions to find a definition of grace that would work in New Thought churches. It has other definitions, but I also believe that grace is an answer to prayer and a miracle that occurs when you least expect it. I believe it's the unasked prayer, the prayer that you're afraid to put into words because you don't feel that it's what you should get, it's something that the universe is waiting to give you, and the universe is waiting for you to say, could I have this? And it's ready to say yes, this or something better. In the book Help, Thanks, Wow, Annie Lamott describes grace as the invisible shift that happens in the broken places. And in these broken places, your life is transformed by ordinary things. I believe that when things are falling apart in your life, it is often grace at work. And we don't always get what we pray for, which, believe me, is often a blessing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came to be doing what I'm doing. And hopefully we can see the places that grace was working in my life when I least expected it. I grew up a beloved child in a musical family with a grandfather who was my very first piano teacher. Never once did any part of my family say, music is great, but you need a real job. I was always supported in my love for music, and I always knew from early on that I intended to make my living as a musician. But there's lots of ways to do that. And believe me, I tried a lot of them. So my grandfather was a tender teacher. He was so passionate about music. He didn't get to make his living at music. He was a bricklayer, supporting his 3 children and his family as a bricklayer. But every spare second that he got, he played music. He played piano. He played that stride type of piano, like that I can't play. My aunts still play it, but even if I were looking at it, it wouldn't sound the same. It's such sweet memories. And he shared his love of music with his little granddaughter, never knowing that by teaching or sharing with a child, that he gave me the tools to create for myself a magical life. He did not know when he shared his love of music with me that it might twist around years later and come back into manifestation with something that I love doing. I love doing. So for any of you that are wondering if there's something you're passionate about, an art form, music, quilting, crossword puzzles, word games, something that you teach your child or grandchild, you never know how it will manifest back in their life later on and what tools you're actually giving them, what sweet memories. So I'd like to play a song that I wrote for my grandfather. His name was Waldo Barton. And here's a song called Grandpa's Hands. From a cardboard box of memories, I lift the faded photo. It's me at 6, with skinny arms, my hair tied up in bows. I'm sitting at the piano, Grandpa next to me. Heads pressed together, hands resting on the keys. His hands were rough with ragged nails from laying brick all day, but Grandpa loved his music. He never missed a chance to play. His fingers full of magic as they danced across the keys. He'd sing and grin and wiggle his ears and teach me patiently. He'd say, watch my hands, do as I do. We'll go slow, until you learn the tune. Let the song become a part of you. Watch Grandpa's hands do as I do. He retired to Florida. He formed a little band. He would beam with pride when I would play some songs with them. We'd play Whispering and Stardust, Just Because and Yum Yum Blues. That hall would swing with music, 'cause we'd play every song we knew. He'd say, watch my hands, do as I do. We'll go slow until you learn the tune. Let the song become a part of you. Watch Grandpa's hands do as I do. I wheeled him to the record to make music one more time. The final grand performance of the teacher and the child. Now music is my calling, a gift I love to share. It's how I say I love you, how I show I care. And when I find those little hands beside mine on the keys, I repeat those loving words Grandpa said to me. I say, watch my hands do as I do. We'll go slow until you learn the tune. Let the song become a part of you. Watch my hands do as I do. Watch my hands do as I do. So nurtured as a child. I grew up and I thought, how can I best use my gift of music? My gift that was so carefully nurtured by my parents and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. And I thought, I know, I will sing in a bar. Excellent choice. It was fun for a little while till I realized that no one was listening to a single thing that I said. So I tried singing no words at all, or different words. No one noticed. And I noticed that there were the same people that frequently appeared, and they were sedating their challenges in life, let's just say. They were not happy. And I noticed them each week, and I thought, okay, I need to tweak this dream a bit. I need to tweak this. I am going to start singing in a wedding band. The people are still drinking, but they're happier about it. Once again, I noticed that I was singing other people's songs that no one really cared if I were singing in another language. But I didn't know what to do about it because I didn't realize I had other choices. So I started complaining loudly to the universe. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to work on New Year's Eve. This is too far to drive. These people is too noisy. And the universe, which is waiting and eager to give you every good thing, yes, 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 I thought you would never ask. The universe heard, Mayday, Mayday, I need rescued. And I was fired from my position as a wedding singer. Now, I would like to say that I took that with dignity and joy, recognizing it as the gift it was, but I was indignant. I could not believe I had been fired as a wedding singer. How pathetic. So I thought, okay, I'm going to teach. I love teaching. I still teach to this day, but I jumped into teaching full force. I had like 50 or 60 students a week. That's kind of mind-numbing, even though you have the possibility of sparking. For every person that you can spark the love of music, There's 59 others that are there because their mother is making them come. During this time, I answered an ad in the paper because I'd been brought up Catholic. And I answered an ad for a Unity Church as an accompanist because I decided I needed to at least be playing the piano myself instead of teaching other people to do it. I'd never heard of Unity. I thought it could possibly be a cult. I wasn't sure. But it was so cool when I went for the audition that I said, even if I don't get this job, I'm coming here to church. And I did get the job, and for a couple years I accompanied other people singing. I wasn't singing anymore myself. And one day I thought, okay, I'm going to ask if I could sing a solo. And so for a couple years I did that. Once a month I would sing a solo. And then I noticed, I am so sick of singing Climb Every Mountain or Memory from Cats. Don't we have any music that fits our theology? And the answer was, no, we don't. So during this time, about 3 things happened simultaneously. I looked around and I noticed that while I had been going from bar to wedding singer, all my friends had actually gotten married. So I made a treasure map. And a treasure map is where you write down what you would like to draw into your life, this or something better. But you have to be very specific because the universe seems to be very literal in my understanding. So I probably wrote down that I liked the water, which means I like to walk beside it and look at it. I don't want to get in it. I don't want to get my hair wet. But because I did not specify that in my treasure map, I ended up married to an ex-Navy SEAL and living on a sailboat. This was not good in so many ways. For one thing, my grand piano wouldn't fit on the sailboat. For another thing, I'm violently seasick. And my only job on the boat was to stop it. So that involved catching this tiny little line out in space that looked like a piece of crochet thread with something that looked like a crochet hook, which I could barely see because I didn't have my contacts in. And that was my only job, and there was no pressure whatsoever. He simply informed me that if I missed it, we would knock the pier down. Needless to say, I dreaded every moment the boat left the slip, but sailors actually like to sail. The only time I liked sailing was when we were anchored. It was actually beautiful. The sun would set on the water, dolphins would play, manatees, lovely. And then every time that the boat was moving, which I viewed as a near-death experience. Let's just say that this was not an ideal partnership. But I didn't notice I wasn't going to give up on it. I'd waited a long time to be married. The universe had brought me to him. Ironically, he was the cousin of the person who was the wedding band that had let me go. Just cannot quite undo that thread. So I started writing songs because I wanted to find some music that fit our message. And I was at a conference getting ready to go to the Grand Canyon because I know it will come as no surprise to you, but after 10 years, my sailor husband and I were having a few difficulties. So at this conference, I met David Roth and Janice Stanfield. Do you guys know them and their music? And they talked me into going to a song camp. So here's our sequence. I'm at a conference in Phoenix. I'm getting ready to go to the Grand Canyon to see if I can reconnect with my husband. And then after that, in 2 weeks, I'm going to go to a songwriting camp. The Grand Canyon trip, as you are probably not surprised to hear, was a complete and utter disaster. I cried my way through the entire experience. I need to revisit the Grand Canyon so I can see it through clear eyes, because I did not see the beauty. It was very stressful. During my time in the Grand Canyon, my father suddenly died. And then I really had something to cry about. So I crept back home, and I said to my sister, I cannot possibly go to this songwriting camp that David Roth has talked me into because my family is in crisis, and I cannot possibly go and have anybody give me any kind of feedback on songwriting, performance, anything, because I could possibly fall apart like I'm doing now. And my sister, who's very wise, said, you must go. It is a life-changing experience. And I listened to her. Thank you, God. So I went to the camp. David Roth dropped me off. I was in a sea of people. I knew no one except David Roth. And it's another camping experience. I'm a Marriott girl. So we go from the boat where, everything is damp and musty and moving, and then I go to the woods with a bunch of strangers. And no car. Very integral at both times. I had no way to escape my life lesson. I was at other people's mercy. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, this was such a stupid idea. Why did I come here? In the woods, writing songs. I don't know anybody, and I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself, wishing I could escape. And someone sits down next to me and says, "Hi, you're new here. My name is Sloan. Welcome to camp." And in those words, those simple words, that word of welcome, my experience was transformed. Sloan has become the sister of my heart, a dear friend, and the camp experience became the life-changing experience that David had told me it would be. Simple words like hi, welcome, things that you can do to people that you see are strangers, somebody new, a smile in a grocery line. You have no idea, a simple gesture, what a difference it can make in somebody's life. So I observed Song Camp, and I noticed lovely couples who were sharing music, so happy, even though we were in the woods. And I left early. I didn't go to the disorientation. In disorientation, they remind you that you are in a sacred space, a magical space, and they invite you not to go out and drive 5 miles an hour down the road because you've been away from your car for a week, not to hug the gas station attendant, and not to make any life-changing decisions for 3 months. If it's a good idea now, it will be a good idea in 3 months. But I missed disorientation that year, once again, because I was in someone else's vehicle. So I went home and asked for a divorce. Believe me, there are worse things than being single. It's much worse to be in a marriage that is a perfect marriage for someone besides yourself. He did not take it well. It was kind of a surprise to him, I suppose. However, because I believe in not severing relationships, they're important to me. If they were important once, they may change, but I try to be civil. Our divorce was a mediation. It cost $150, and he still lives next door to me and watches my pets when I travel. So that worked out ideally. So by starting to write songs and going to this song camp, I started volunteering. When I volunteered for Unity Worldwide Ministries, I became part of the music team, which is where I became friends with Melinda, another sister of my heart. And I ended up chairing this team and creating music and conferences and workshops to support people like Melinda and I who don't know where to go for resources. In so doing, I met Richard McDeesey, who has become my business partner in Empower Music and Arts. And we create and co-write, and we've created a vehicle so that the artists who used to travel parallel paths across the country now have a place to come together and create together. There's a community of like-minded individuals, like anything many of you would do, a quilting guild, a book club, something where you share ideas. When I was living on the boat, did I believe that I would suddenly start co-writing with Janice Stanfield, who I'd only seen from a distance? I would not have believed you if you would have told me this was possible. But by going through that open door that was scary and cloudy, and I couldn't see past a couple steps because it kind of wove around into the underbrush, by putting one foot in front of the other and walking down the path towards what I knew was my dreams, my life was transformed in a magical way, in ways I could not envision. All right. I asked for teachers, and they showed up. Now, teachers don't always say, "Great job." They may give you an opportunity to adapt or tweak things. So to the point where, sometimes I'm on a show or I'm writing a new song, and I get input from Daniel Nahmod, David Roth, Greg Tamblyn. It's overwhelming sometimes. I have to go meditate about how my song has taken a new direction. But when you ask for teachers, the universe is going to give them to you. When you ask for a teacher, the teacher will appear when you are ready to hear the message or the lesson that the teacher has to offer. My friend David Roth says that if your life is not flowing as you hoped it would, you are probably standing on your own hose. And my friend Sloan gave me a magnet for my refrigerator that says, "Let go or be dragged." Because as we know, change is going to happen. And it's how you react to it that marks the experience. So we do co-writing retreats, and I was back in Arizona, which seems to be a pivotal state for life-changing experiences for me. And as soon, we were gathering together to write songs for a new holiday CD, for the first ever New Thought holiday CD. And gathered together were Karen Drucker and Jan Garrett, J.D. Martin, Janice Stanfield, Richard McDeesey, Daniel Nahmod, Faith Rivera, who am I forgetting? Robert Anderson, people who I had only read their names in passing until I opened myself to the gifts that the universe had to give me and the grace that was waiting to happen by saying yes. And as soon as I got there, my sister called and said that my mother had passed away. The difference was that since I was with my chosen group of friends in the life that I was meant to live, the experience of the overwhelming grief was so different than my time in the Grand Canyon when I was trying to fit myself into a life that was meant for someone else. I was comforted and supported. Each artist took time to meet with me individually, to tell me the story of their parents passing, and to hold me in my grief, to provide a safe space where I could grieve and begin to heal. Because that is the message from the universe. You are where you're supposed to be with your tribe of people. And Jan Garrett helped me write a beautiful song that was a tribute to both of my parents, called The Memory Makers. Because with losing both of my parents, I have become the memory maker for the next generation. And all the beautiful things I treasure so much from my childhood, my grandfather's lessons on the piano, the time spent with my grandparents and my parents, it is now up to me to provide those potential memories for the children in my life. And it was a beautiful, beautiful time because I was where I was supposed to be. So I have found that in my life, by letting go of things which no longer serve me, or which are no longer mine to carry or to have, that I made room in my life for grace to enter and to give me things that I possibly would have been afraid to ask for. Things so marvelous that I would not have thought I was deserving of them. This allowed grace to flow through and around me. So I invite you to reflect for a moment on each of your lives and think about what might you be invited to change. It can be so simple as moving furniture, hanging a picture in a different spot, volunteering for a new group, saying hello to someone that you sit next to every week at church, but that you don't even know their name. Although in a beautiful community like this, I doubt that that's true. It could be someone in your neighborhood that has had a health challenge, and it would be great to take a home-cooked meal. Those are opportunities for grace. You want a partnership? It could be buying a bigger bed, making room in the closet. I've done that. So far, it's not worked. But I am very hopeful, and I'm much clearer on my treasure map. Water is not mentioned at all. I love my life now. It's so much better than singing songs for people who are celebrating. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually celebrate also. But I get to sing songs that I write and hopefully touch people with my music. It's a ministry, which is much different than singing songs in a wedding band. Had I not been fired from the wedding band, I most likely would never have started writing songs. The universe had to create the void for me to be open, for it to be filled with something miraculous. And if I hadn't been befriended by people like David Roth and Janice Stanfield, I might not have tried to write better songs, because I thought initially, I'm going to start writing songs. How hard can it be? It's really hard to write a song that someone besides your mother wants to hear more than once. It is a process, and you have to learn to let go of things that you're attached to, like the perfect line, which does not fit the song. If you are patient, you will see that God will restore what the locusts have taken away. So I have blessed the end of that chapter of my life, and I'm open to new possibilities from the universe. And in closing, I want to sing a song that my friend Faith Rivera and I wrote called Blessed Be. Thank you for listening. Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of life carry me, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be. Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of life carry me, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be. Life unfolds with grace and ease, endless possibilities. They're everywhere, they've always been, when I choose to let them in. Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of life carry me, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be. 'Cause I've outgrown those smaller dreams, the way they seem to limit me. I make the space, invite love in, magic fills my life again. Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of life carry me, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be. There's something bigger calling me to follow where my passion leads. I trust the flow, don't need to know. I dance into the great unknown. Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of life carry me, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be, 'cause now I know I'm in the flow, I'm finally free, oh blessed be, I'm finally free, oh blessed be. Thank you.